No one wins when people smugglers drop their desperate passengers on far-flung parts of our shoreline. It's a harsh reality that locals are facing in some of our most remote areas, and they're crying out for help.
We don't want to see an influx of illegal people coming on shore, and it's frightening, to be honest, frightening. We need to protect the border as much as we can.
The consequences of not stopping it are absolutely devastating to the Northern Territory.
On turquoise top-end waters, there's a dangerous game of risk and reward at play. Illegal boats are sailing across the Arafura Sea from Indonesia. They drop off asylum seekers, pillage Australian waters before sailing home to profit. This is video of a group of illegal immigrants on a remote bush track some 300 kilometres northeast of Darwin. They were found by members of a remote community in Western Arnhem Land.
Our rangers are the forefront, they're the eyes and the ears.
Matthew Ryan is chair of the Northern Land Council, representing traditional owner communities across the top half of the territory.
Indigenous rangers play an important role to protect our borders, not just for the traditional owners, but everyone in Australia.
He says Indigenous rangers also helped 4 foreign men found at Croker Island, relaying some of their story by using a translating app, converting Mandarin to English. The text roughly means,
"I've seen too many things about the Chinese government's massacre of people. I'm afraid that this kind of thing will happen to me one day."
They also told the rangers they'd paid $6,000, roughly 9,000 Australian, to come to Australia. Are you worried for some of your rangers on the front line because of the money that's at stake in some of these operations?
Yeah, look, it can be quite daunting and dangerous for the ranger groups because they don't have any enforcement powers. We don't know who they are, and the potential of them coming onshore is it's a bigger risk to the community.
The incident's adding to growing concerns around an influx of foreign vessels. Most are illegal fishing boats, people smuggling ventures making it to the mainland a more recent problem, raising questions on the adequacy of Australia's border protection program. It's the creeks, it's the rivers, it's the mangroves. That's where you need the eyes and ears, isn't it?
We do, and our ranger groups have been playing that role, and even with the traditional owners. We want the Border Force to be working closely with the ranger groups in the community from the region.
Both groups were quietly deported after being apprehended, but Matthew is questioning how they were able to get as far as they did. He's also worried about the threat illegal boats pose to the land and marine life they've worked tirelessly to protect. How delicate are some of those ecosystems around those remote communities?
Yeah, look, it's very delicate, to be honest. Northern Territory coastlines, either you go from east, west, it's untouched country.
But the message I want to send is enough, something needs to be done.
Jared Maley is the Northern Territory's Deputy Chief Minister and Minister for Fisheries.
Flow-on effects from the illegal fishing, the illegal arrivals, the biosecurity could have a really devastating effect on the Territory economy and Australian economy. Those people live out in their community, they do a great job, and you have to have a really big shout out to them because without them seeing what they see and then reporting it, who knows what could have happened. And the question is, why are we relying upon the traditional owners and the people living out in these remote communities to do that job? In response to growing calls for more resources, the Australian Border Force launched Operation Luna, targeting illegal vessels along the NT coastline. Those on the ground say it's a step in the right direction, but more needs to be done. The question is, should it have been done earlier, and why are these people arriving here now in the numbers they have? Why has it been increasing?
Yeah, too little too late. It's a bit disappointing, and we've been saying for a long time, work with us.
The operation has had success primarily in stopping illegal fishing for sea cucumber. This is just some of a record 3,200 kilogram seizure undertaken by Border Force officers.
You will be caught. You will lose your catch and you may lose your boat.
Images have also emerged of Australian Navy vessels towing some of the illegal boats out of Australian waters. But with more than 100 asylum seekers now awaiting processing on Nauru, the biggest surge since the Rudd government, people smuggling remains a concern.
This is a new trend that we're seeing. We're seeing that the same vessels and the same mariners are also doing people smuggling because they're in our waters and they're familiar with our waters.
A concern that's been a political problem for consecutive governments.
This is what happens when you stop the boats.
We've got a weak Prime Minister when it comes to our borders.
We do not seek to politicise national security issues.
Right now, it's Federal Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke in the hot seat, in charge of upholding national security in the lead-up to the federal election. He was unavailable for an interview, but told us in a statement.
The government's commitment to Operation Sovereign Borders, including providing record funding, means there has not been a successful people smuggling venture to Australia since the last election.
It's a big coastline, so we're really relying on our First Nations community and our Northern Territory community to report any sightings so that we can be aware of anybody that's there.
We need to make sure that the Territory government, the traditional owners and the federal government work together.
The risk is high and we want to prevent that from them coming in. We want to stop that risk straight away, with the help of Border Force and our local rangers working in collaboration.
It's a lot of coastline, isn't it? And it's something we'll no doubt be hearing a lot about in this election year.